Roll down your window, man. Roll down the window.
Slowing. We are behind a little bit of traffic. Oh, crash.
Mama alive?
What's that?
Is my mama alive?
Your mom is alright, yes.
The officer leaned toward the driver's side window with a firm gaze. He spoke with the measured tone of someone expecting compliance. "Roll down your window, ma'am," he commanded. The young woman behind the wheel looked back at him with a mixture of fear and hesitation. She only cracked the glass a few inches. The officer repeated his order more sternly.
Roll
down the
man.
window, he insisted.
Roll down the window.
Instead of complying, the engine roared to life. The tires chirped against the asphalt as the gray sedan lurched forward. The officer stepped back as the vehicle took off at a high rate of speed. This split-second decision transformed a routine theft investigation into a life-threatening event. Within moments, the radio crackled with the frantic update that the vehicle took off. Officers were now in pursuit of this car after reports of a retail theft. This was the start of a journey that would reach speeds of 100 miles per hour. It would eventually lead to a devastating crash on a busy interstate. The story began earlier that morning at a local Walgreens store in Greenfield, Wisconsin. It was March 4th of 2024. The store manager placed a hurried call to the emergency dispatch center. Walgreens, Loomis and Layton, the manager stated. "We have a shoplifter," the manager reported. He described a gray Chevy Malibu leaving the parking lot. The caller noted a black female with 2 kids was inside the vehicle. He watched as she took a right turn onto the main road. The dispatcher asked for more details as the manager tried to keep up. "Just hold on a second," the dispatcher said. The manager was breathless as he watched the car disappear. He noted she was by the gas station near the BP. "I cannot see her anymore," he finally admitted. When asked what was taken, he provided a list of basic necessities. The manager stated she had a whole cart full of stuff. This included baby formula and various food items. The total value of the stolen goods was later calculated at $237.27. Officers were already on the way to the scene. They spotted the gray sedan a short time later. This was supposed to be a standard traffic stop for a retail theft arrest. However, the driver had other plans for the morning. Danielle Butler was 25 years old at the time. She sat in the driver's seat with her 2 young children in the back. As the police lights began to flash, she felt a wave of panic. She later admitted she was thinking about her children's future. "I did not want to go to jail," she explained. She worried her kids would have nobody to care for them if she were taken away. This irony would define the entire case. By fleeing, she was putting the very children she loved into extreme physical danger. The pursuit moved onto the freeway system in Milwaukee County. Officers joined the chase as the gray Malibu wove through traffic. The lead officer reported that traffic was still light at that hour. "We are about 100 miles per hour, he told dispatch. He noted they were safely driving in the left lane. The music of sirens filled the air as the car sped westbound. The suspect passed 76th Street with police cruisers trailing closely behind. The high-speed chase kids were experiencing was unlike anything they had ever known. They were seated in the back without any proper safety restraints. The 2-year-old and 3-year-old were not in car seats. They were only held by adult seatbelts designed for much larger bodies. This was a clear violation of safety laws and a central part of the child endangerment arrest that followed. The officer behind her was focused on the road ahead. "Speeds are just constant," he reported to the team. He watched the gray sedan carefully. He hoped for a peaceful conclusion, but the car did not slow down. Suddenly, the Malibu encountered a pocket of slower traffic. The driver attempted a maneuver to bypass the cars ahead. She lost control of the heavy sedan. The car spun wildly across the lanes. It struck a cement barrier with incredible force. The sound of metal crushing against concrete was deafening. "Crash, crash, crash," the officer shouted into his radio. A cloud of smoke and debris filled the air. The gray Malibu came to a rest after a big crash. Officers rushed to the scene with their weapons drawn. They were prepared for a hostile confrontation with a fleeing suspect. "Get off the ground," they shouted as they approached. Hands up, the officers commanded. Danielle Butler stepped out of the wreckage. She began walking away from the car and toward the sound of their voices. She appeared dazed but was able to follow instructions. One officer noticed she was looking back at the car. "She is talking to somebody in the vehicle," he observed. He asked a question that changed the tone of the entire scene. "How many kids are in the car?" he asked with urgency. Danielle replied that there were 2 children inside. The officers immediately shifted from a tactical mindset to a rescue operation. One officer approached the passenger side. He found a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. The children were crying and covered in dust from the impact. "Come over here, buddy," the officer said gently. He reached in to pull the small boy from the wreckage. Come this way," he encouraged. The child was trembling as he was carried to safety. The officer asked if he was okay. "Are you not injured?" he questioned while checking for blood. The boy complained that his lips hurt. His sister was also removed from the car. She had visible scratches on her face. The officer held her close and told her she would be fine. Danielle was being placed in handcuffs nearby. She called out to her children as they were led away. "I love you," she cried out. The children were confused and terrified by the surrounding chaos. The scene was now cluttered with emergency vehicles. A fire ambulance was on the way to provide medical aid. The officers were shocked to find the car was packed with stuff. They saw boxes of baby formula and grocery items scattered in the trunk. It was a visible reminder of the original shoplifting gone wrong. One child looked at an officer with wide eyes. "Is my mama alive?" the little boy asked. The officer knelt down to his level. "Your mom is all right, yes," he assured him. The child then asked if he could go to his granny's house. The police began the process of contacting relatives. They needed to find a safe place for the children to go. This heartbreaking arrest was being recorded on multiple bodycam units. The police bodycam video would later serve as key evidence. It showed the high speeds and the violent nature of the crash. It also captured the moments where the mother prioritized her own escape over her children's safety. At the police station, Danielle sat in an interview room. She was willing to talk to the investigators. She asked about her children immediately. "My kid's okay," she whispered. The investigator confirmed they were being looked after by their grandmother. He then asked her to explain what happened at the Walgreens. "I took some food and some baby," she admitted. She was referring to the baby formula theft that started the ordeal. She claimed she swiped her card and thought it was okay. However, the store records showed she scanned the items but never finalized the payment. When asked why she ran from the traffic stop, her answer was honest. "I really was not thinking," she said. She admitted she was overwhelmed by the fear of going to jail. The investigator asked if she realized she was putting her children in danger. "I was not thinking about all the stuff that could have happened," she replied. This lack of foresight would have significant legal consequences. In the state of Wisconsin, the law is very clear regarding police pursuits. Under Wisconsin State Statute Section 346.04 subsection 3, fleeing an officer is a serious felony. It involves knowingly fleeing after receiving a visual or audible signal to stop. Because property damage occurred and lives were endangered, the charges were elevated. Danielle also faced 2 counts of neglecting a child under Statute 948.21. The law requires parents to provide necessary care and safety. Placing children in a high-speed pursuit without car seats is a violation of this duty. Additionally, she was charged with first-degree recklessly endangering safety under Statute 941.30. This statute covers conduct that creates a substantial risk of death or great bodily harm. The retail theft arrest itself was a misdemeanor because the value was under $500. However, the combined weight of the felony charges was much heavier. The prosecution argued that Danielle's actions were a gross deviation from the standard of care a parent must provide. They pointed to the speed of the car and the lack of car seats as evidence of criminal negligence. The defense likely focused on her desperation and her lack of prior violent intent. They might have argued she was a mother in crisis, trying to provide for her family. However, the law does not excuse dangerous behavior based on personal hardship. In July of 2025, the court case reached its conclusion. Danielle Butler was found guilty of fleeing and eluding an officer. She was also convicted on 2 counts of neglecting a child. The other charges were dismissed but were read into the record for sentencing purposes. This means the judge could consider the totality of her actions when deciding the punishment. The final sentence was 6 years in the Wisconsin state prison system. This was to be followed by 6 years of extended supervision. This 12-year total sentence reflects the severity of the danger she created. The community was left to grapple with the complexities of this case. It was a clear instance of a mom steals baby formula and ends up losing her freedom. Some saw it as a symptom of poverty crime America, while others saw it as a failure of personal responsibility. The systemic issues of food insecurity and retail theft are often linked. However, when children are involved, the legal system prioritizes their physical safety above all else. This police chase ends in arrest, but leaves a lasting impact on the family unit. The children were removed from mother and placed in the care of relatives. The trauma of the crash and the viral arrest video will likely stay with them for years. This case serves as a warning about the dangers of fleeing from law enforcement. It also highlights the importance of proper child safety restraints. If the children had been in car seats, their minor injuries might have been avoided entirely. The Police Chase 2024 incident is a reminder that a small crime can spiral into a life-altering tragedy. Every decision made during a police encounter has the potential to escalate. For Danielle Butler, the fear of a short jail stay for shoplifting led to a long prison sentence for felony fleeing. The lesson for the public is one of compliance and safety. If you are pulled over, the safest course of action is to stop and address the issue legally. Attempting to run only multiplies the charges and the danger. This pursuit ends badly for everyone involved. The store lost its merchandise, and the mother lost her children and her liberty. The police were forced to engage in a dangerous pursuit through city streets. The children suffered physical and emotional pain that was entirely preventable. As the gray Chevy Malibu was towed away, it was a shell of a car. The interior was filled with boxes of food that would never be eaten. It stood as a monument to a series of poor choices. The bodycam footage arrest remains a stark visual record of the event. It shows the moment a mother arrested shoplifting realized the gravity of her situation. This sad police video is often cited in discussions about criminal justice and social welfare. It asks difficult questions about how we support struggling families before they reach a breaking point. Yet it also affirms that no amount of struggle justifies putting a child in the path of a 100-mile-per-hour crash. The justice system seeks to balance empathy with the need for public order. In this case, the court decided that the risk to the children was the defining factor. The safety of the most vulnerable members of society is the highest priority of the law. The mother in handcuffs became a symbol of a welfare check gone wrong that started at a pharmacy counter. The story of Danielle Butler is one of desperation meeting consequence. It is a narrative that repeats in various forms across the country. Whether it is a Target shoplifter caught or a stealing from Walmart incident, the ending is often the same. When the law is broken and flight is attempted, the results are rarely positive. This case provides actionable knowledge about the legal requirements for child safety and the penalties for eluding. It is a cautionary tale for any parent facing a similar moment of panic. The right choice is always the one that protects the children. The viral nature of such videos ensures that millions of people see the aftermath of these choices. They see the crying children and the crumpled metal. They hear the officers asking, "Is it just kids in the car?" These details create a vivid mental imagery of the cost of crime. The sound of the sirens and the screeching tires fade away, but the legal record remains. The children will grow up knowing their mother spent years in prison because of a cart full of baby formula and a heavy foot on the gas pedal. This is the reality of the situation. It is a clinical fact of the case. The law was applied and the consequences were delivered. The story ends with a family separated and a community reflecting on the tragedy. The lessons are clear and the warnings are loud. Respect the law and protect the children at all costs. This is the only way to ensure that a routine stop does not become a heartbreaking arrest. The journey of the gray Malibu ended against a concrete wall, but the repercussions will echo for a lifetime. Every person who watches the police body cam video is reminded of the fragile line between a mistake and a catastrophe. The Greenfield Police Department continues to patrol the streets of Wisconsin. They look for the same gray sedans and the same indicators of retail theft. They hope the next encounter ends with a peaceful resolution and a fair day in court. They hope that no more children have to ask if their mama is alive after a high-speed chase. The goal of law enforcement is the preservation of life. When a suspect chooses to flee, they take that goal away from the officers. The responsibility for the outcome rests solely with the driver. Danielle Butler learned this lesson in the most difficult way possible. She now has years to reflect on the morning of March 4th. She can think about the Walgreens on Loomis and the sirens on the freeway. She can remember the feeling of the steering wheel as she hit 100 miles per hour. Most of all, she can remember the faces of her children as they were carried away by strangers in uniforms. This is the weight of a 12-year sentence. It is the cost of fleeing from the truth. The story of the mom steals baby formula is a tragedy of errors. It is a narrative of poverty and panic that collided with the strict requirements of the law. As we look at the broader impact, we see the need for better support systems and clearer understanding of the law. We see the need for parents to understand that they are the primary guardians of their children's safety. When that guardianship is abandoned, the state must step in. The result is a broken home and a long road to redemption. The legal statutes of Wisconsin provided the framework for justice. The judge provided the final word. The rest is left to history and the memory of those who were there. The gray Malibu is gone, but the story remains as a powerful educational tool for the public. It teaches us about the gravity of our choices and the permanence of their effects. It reminds us that even in moments of desperation, we must hold on to our humanity and our common sense. If we fail to do so, the consequences will be as certain as the sirens in the rearview mirror. This is the end of the narrative for Danielle Butler's flight. It is the beginning of a new chapter for her children. They will hopefully find the stability and safety they were denied in the back of that gray car. The community will continue to move forward, and the law will continue to be upheld. The case is closed, but the impact remains. This is the nature of true crime in the modern age. It is a cycle of action and accountability that defines our society. Through these stories, we learn who we are and what we value. We value the safety of children above the price of baby formula. We value the order of our streets above the flight of a suspect. And we value the truth as it is recorded on a police body cam for all to see. The final check of the facts shows that justice was served according to the statutes of the state. The empathy we feel for a struggling mother does not outweigh the danger she created. This is the balance of the law. It is the standard we live by. The story is a stark reminder that our lives can change in an instant based on a single turn of a key. Choose wisely and drive safely. The eyes of the law are always watching, and the consequences of flight are far too high. This is the final takeaway from a morning in Wisconsin that no one will ever forget. The sounds of the crash have silenced, but the lessons continue to resonate in the hearts of those who seek to prevent the next tragedy.